Is the Jordan Hicks starting experiment over? It might be, as he is roughed up by the Toronto Blue Jays and fails to make it through 5 innings in yet another start. We're discussing why I know I was lenient last time to say that he's done, but it might be about time to say that, okay, it's time for the Jordan Hicks experiment to be over. Talking about that as well as what else went wrong in yesterday's game against the Toronto Blue Jays on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Cardinals podcast for Wednesday, May the 25th of 2022. I am the host of the show, Lucas Smith. Thanks for tuning in today and every day that you tune in to Locked On Cardinals podcast. Thank you for making it your first listen of the day, each and every day, Monday to Friday. It was a rough game last night for the St. Louis Cardinals as they lose 8-1 to the Toronto Blue Jays. They were able to avoid the shutout. A little bit of pride, a little bit of dignity there for the St. Louis Cardinals. But nevertheless, it was an overall pretty brutal game. You had just 2 extra base hits the whole night. You go 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. You leave 9 runners on base. You register just 6 hits. You commit 2 errors behind your pitchers, 1 on Gorman, 1 on Donovan. Your pitcher only goes 3 innings. Everybody that pitches gives up an earned run except for the mop-up guy at the end, Junior Fernandez. It was just, simply put, not a good day for the Cardinals. And the question that we're going to start off with today and start discussing today is the Jordan Hicks experiment. The Jordan Hicks starting experiment. Jordan Hicks is a pitcher that has some of the best stuff that you could ask for. He's got an electric fastball that has some late life to it, a really good sinking action to it. He's got a wipeout slider. He's got the makings of a closer, at least by stuff and by stuff alone. We've seen him in the closer's role before, has not gone well. So the Cardinals say, okay, let's expand him out a little bit. Let's see what he does as a starter. And to date, at least at the major league level, Jordan Hicks has not produced as a starter. It's an experiment that I have been largely okay with, largely in support of. But these are his game logs as a starter this season. His first 2 appearances did not come as a starter. They came as a reliever. On the 21st of April against Miami, 3 innings, an earned run, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Not bad. The 26th of May against the Mets, 2 innings, 2 earned, 2 walks, a strikeout. Not as effective, but we're still working our way up. 3 1/3 on the 1st of May against Arizona, 2 earned runs, 4 1/3 against the Giants on the 6th of May, 2 earned runs, 3 earned runs against the Giants on the 13th of May. He did get up to 5 innings in that start. 4 innings against the Mets on the 18th of May, 2 earned runs, and then he got knocked around yesterday going just 3 innings. And not only did he go only 3 innings, he walked 5 batters. The name of the game for Jordan Hicks has always been, can he control his stuff? And so far, he has not been able to do that. He does not have an appearance this year without a walk. I'll say that again. He does not have an appearance this season in which he did not register a walk. At least one. He walked 1 batter in each of the first 2 appearances on the 12th and 17th of April, and since then he has had 2 or more walks in each start. Even after his last start against the Mets when he went 4 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, hit 2 batters, walked 3, struck out 5. I said it on that show the very next day, or 2 days later. I'm okay with giving Jordan Hicks another start before I make my final decision, my final diagnosis, if you will, on whether or not he should be a starter at the major league level. I was okay with giving him another start. I really was. A start or 2 even is what I said. That start came yesterday. I was at the game. It was great to be back at Busch. It was great to see everything in person. Got to see Gorman in person for the first time. Got to see a couple of Nolan Arenado web gems in person. Lots of fun stuff to see in person, right? Other than the final score, which was, as you all know, 8-1. And Jordan Hicks just was unable to control his fastball. It sounds so simple. It really does. Because even Hicks said himself, quote, "I feel like if I can get the fastball in there, that's the game changer. I can't be out there throwing slider or changeup on every pitch. It's frustrating. You're supposed to get the fastball in there, working everything off of that. It's just not happening," end quote. That's in an article on MLB.com by Mark Saxon. I really do want to root for Hicks because he has that kind of stuff that you dream of. He just doesn't have the control. So, is it going to be automatic? Is he going to be replaced right away? No, probably not. He'll probably make another start because even Oliver Marmol, who was asked about it, didn't really make a final decision. He said it's a good question and one we'll evaluate. At the end of the day, we want to feel like we're competing, and when guys go out there to think they have a shot, I think the combination of not commanding his pitches and just the overall pace made that difficult. I agree with Marmol on that second point. When watching it yesterday, even though he wasn't throwing strikes, it didn't feel like he was in control of the game. It felt like he was slowing down a lot. It felt like it was a slow pace to the game. It really was hard to watch, not only because of the walks that he issued and the hits that he gave up, but the pace just wasn't there. So, and a lot of you have been, quote unquote, calling this for quite some time, saying, that you don't like Hicks as a starter. You think he should be a reliever. You think they should let him go. You think all this, and that, and the other. And credit to you, I guess, for being able to predict the future. Because I really thought Hicks could figure it out. I really thought Hicks was going to be that guy. But I think that I now have seen enough to comfortably say that the Cardinals should not be rolling with Hicks anymore. You have to be able to expect at least 5 innings from all of your starters on any given night, even your number 5. Because this was his first game without a pitch count, so he'll probably get a second, and if not a third even as well. So before this, it was more about how does the stuff look? How can he improve start to start? It wasn't necessarily about how many innings he was throwing. It was what's the stuff look like? How does it play? It played decently well for the first couple of outings. And it just has not played well the last number of outings with Hicks immensely struggling. And now we're getting to the point where, okay, now we are starting to look at innings pitched. We are starting to look at, can you get to 5 innings? Can you get to 5, 6, 7 innings, right? He's got no pitch count except for the 100 number or the number that's around that a normal starter would see. And we're not even at least in last start, we didn't even let him get up there because of the fact he wasn't effective. And it's highly unfortunate to see Jordan Hicks, who has, like I said, some of the most incredible stuff, struggle at this level. But as I mentioned, I believe that I have seen enough to say it's time to move on. Now, that means a lot of different things for a lot of different people, and it comes at a really bad time because the Cardinals just lost Steven Matz to injury. They just had to bring back Matthew Liberatore after being sent down. But when I say, okay, it's enough for Jordan Hicks, who's his replacement? Because you got to bring him back with somebody. So we'll talk about who I think his replacement should be, what the Cardinals should do in the starting rotation coming up here in just a minute. With spring in the air, though, it is a time of renewal and growth, both personally and professionally. And as your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. You can create a job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. And then you just add your job to the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile, and that spreads the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire faster. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. It's plain and simple. Did you know that every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? 40 million. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. So I've made it known. I've talked about the fact that I think it's time to see somebody else in that starter spot rather than Jordan Hicks. I think not in an ideal world, but in a more ideal world than this one, you might see Matthew Liberatore take that spot. Well, Matthew Liberatore's already taken up the spot of Steven Matz, who's on the 15-day injured list, and Liberatore's going to get one, if not two more starts. There are a couple different options the Cardinals could go. Jack Flaherty is facing hitters. That was reported by Jim Hayes. That's a nice development for the Cardinal ace, or who should be the Cardinal ace at least. So that's something that is something to keep our eye on, that the Cardinals are going to get Flaherty back at some point. But it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee that it's happening this week or tomorrow even. Or the other way around, this way or tomorrow even. But that's something to keep just in the back of our heads, just a little bit. But what are the realistic options right now? Well, you could go after a Frankie Montas. You could go after a starter on the trade market. But I don't think the Cardinals are going to do that. Somebody tweeted at the show the other day from Oakland asking if Jordan Walker would be available in a trade for Frankie Montas. And I said, probably not. The haul for a Jordan Walker trade would have to be out of this world for the Cardinals to pull the trigger on that trade. Just as a quick little side note, and I'm sure Lindsey Crosby of Locked On MLB Prospects would agree with me, as well as most people who follow the St. Louis Cardinals or know who Jordan Walker is. Anyways, so there's that option, but it's going to be an internal option. Once Matz comes back, maybe Liberatore impresses in his 3 or 4 starts or 2 to 3 starts, whatever it might be, and you say, okay, Liberatore, we want to keep you at the major league level. Hicks isn't really cutting it. Let's get Hicks in the minor leagues. If you really love the idea of Jordan Hicks being a starter, if you really want to see what he can do as a starter, but not sacrifice wins and losses at the major league level, for lack of a better phrase, great. Let him get the starts down in Memphis. Let him get the starts at AAA, work on his stuff a little bit more, maybe have a little bit more freedom to toy around with things, and come back stronger. Maybe at the bare minimum that increases his trade value because now he actually has success as a starter. Maybe, I don't know. But if he is sent down before that, again, Liberatore taking his spot. We'll have to wait until after Matz comes back. I think that Angel Rondon should get some thought process. Should get some of the thoughts here. I would prefer him almost over Jake Woodford. Because Jake Woodford's probably the easy choice, if you will. But Rondon, let's not forget what Rondon did on Sunday. I know it was 3 days ago. It was in a sweep against the Pirates. The storybook, the story of the sweep was the offense on Sunday. You got to see Yachty pitch. Good stories. It was Gallegos coming back earlier in that series, striking out 5 batters. You got to see Helsley down. There's a lot of good things in that series. But let's not forget what Rondon did on Sunday. After Steven Matz was only able to throw 4 pitches and then leave due to injury. 4 pitches. The Cardinals were not screwed, but the Cardinals had a decision to make. They had not a lot of people to choose from to make that decision. Well, Rondon comes in, took him a little bit to get settled in, but he throws 86 pitches, goes 5 innings, gives up just 1 hit, 3 walks, punches out 4, gets his first MLB win. Absolutely saved the bullpen, and yes, the offense ended up scoring 18 runs, but you didn't know that was going to happen beforehand. Cardinals had a 1-run lead when he came in. You didn't know that was all they were going to get. You just didn't know how this game was going to play out. Rondon comes in and saves the day. And for that, I think he should get a little extra consideration as to taking over at the starting role at this major league level. Rondon is somebody that was, again, minor league pitcher of the year just a few years ago for the St. Louis Cardinals. This is not just some nobody that just happened to pitch well in Pittsburgh because he was facing Pittsburgh and it was just a fluke thing. Rondon, 24 years old, still extremely young. Even last year in 2 innings, there were a couple of scoreless innings for Rondon last season. But again, he was He was an all-star. He was 2019 for Palm Beach. He was Texas League Pitcher of the Week a couple years ago. Again, organizational all-star pitcher of the year back in 2019 was Rondon. This is somebody that can pitch and pitch well. At the AAA level this season, his numbers aren't super exciting, but still somewhat positive. He's gone 11 games, just 2 starts, though, at the AAA level. He's 2-0 with a 3.97 ERA, 22 2/3 of innings pitched, but opponents are only hitting a $1.95 against him. Jake Woodford is also an option, and I recognize that. Woodford definitely has more major league experience, without a doubt. More major league readiness, if you will. You can make an argument for that with just the recency that he has pitched at the major league level. But I would love to see Rondon. I think that might cause a little bit more excitement if you picked Rondon instead of going with Jake Woodford. Although the Cardinals are probably going to go with Woodford, and Woodford's not a bad option. He has shown the ability to get outs at the major league level. Maybe not at the highest level that you would want him to, but still an ability to do so. So long-term or longer term, to kind of centralize it back a little bit in terms of who replaces Hicks in the starting lineup, you think Liberatore, right? Once Matz gets healthy, gets back, if Liberatore impresses in his next couple of starts, and he'll start on Wednesday or Saturday, excuse me. But I think if you're going to replace Hicks, or I think the Cardinals need to replace Hicks, and it's going to be internal. We know that. Woodford and Rondon are the two that I'm looking at. Especially with Rondon, maybe it's a little bit, I'll give you the argument, or I'll give you the comment, or the caveat that it could be a little bit of a recency bias. I understand that, because Rondon did just light up the MLB world, not MLB world, but did impress at the major league level more recently than Woodford did. But I just think Rondon is the more exciting choice. And you know what? Let's just make it exciting. This has been already somewhat frustrating, but an exciting season. You've got the Albert Yachty Wainwright thing. Got a couple of, the Grand Slam walk-off on Monday. You got a couple of exciting things, right? It's been an exciting season. Let's keep that excitement. All due respect to Jake Woodford, I think that Rondon is the exciting and, to me, the correct choice to replace Jordan Hicks in the lineup. I want to know who you think should be replacing Hicks in the lineup or in the rotation, or do you think Jordan Hicks should stay in the rotation? And tell me why. I can get behind, I can comprehend, I can kind of see if you want to give Hicks another start. You have to convince me, but I can kind of see it. So drop a comment in the YouTube section. DM me on Twitter at LJFastball. DM the show on Twitter or Instagram at LO_Cardinals. Or email the show at lockedoncards@gmail.com. I want to know what you guys think. But even just me being at the game yesterday, I think maybe me being there opened my eyes a little bit more. But to me, it showed me that at this point in time, on May 25th, 2022, Jordan Hicks is not a major league starter. At least he should not be starting at the major league level, because he's just not there yet. And that doesn't mean Hicks can't be effective. Maybe you want to have Rondon or Liberatore or Woodford or somebody else start in his place. Maybe even a Drew Verhagen. I don't know. Maybe you want to have somebody start in his place, but you still want Hicks at the major league level. I think Hicks could be a fine middle reliever. I think he's shown us that he's not a closer, and he might not be a high leverage, come in with 2 runners on base in the 8th inning guy. But he could be a nice bridge piece, a nice complimentary piece in that bullpen, especially once he's able to get control. Because I really do want to believe that Hicks can find that control consistently. I just don't. For lack of better, I just think that Jordan Hicks is at a point right now where kind of at a crossroads for him. I want to believe that he can find that fastball control, because he is right. If he can find that fastball control, the sky is the limit. I do agree with him there. Because his stuff plays. Even now when he's struggling, his stuff plays, guys and gals. It plays. But he just is unable to find that control. And I think the Cardinals are not in a position right now to be giving away games. Find better ways to compete. And right now, it just seems like Jordan Hicks is, whenever he starts, it's an uphill battle from the get-go. So again, let me know what you think, because it was an uphill battle from the get-go yesterday with a leadoff walk in the first inning scoring. So speaking of that game, we're going to talk about it. It was an ugly game, but we're still going to talk about it. Not a lot of positives, but not a lot of or some negatives, but not a lot of things that I'm overly concerned about because of what I've seen from sample size in the last week and a half or so. So if you're on your podcasting platforms, be back in just a minute after words from our lovely sponsors. We'll talk about the game yesterday coming up here in just a minute. Cardinals fall 8-1 as the Blue Jays put up 1 in the first, 3 in the third, 3 in the fourth, 3 in the sixth, 1 run in the seventh. Cardinals able to scratch one across in the bottom of the seventh. It was from the get-go. Leadoff walk came around to score in the first inning. Teoscar Hernandez had the leadoff single. And then really when, obviously hindsight's 2020, so it might be a little bit easier for me to say this now, but the air was just let out of the ballpark when Danny Jansen hit his first home run. That was clearly a bomb off the bat. The only question was it going to stay fair? It was off the top section of the foul pole. And then 2 more runs scored that inning when Espinal gets a sacrifice fly. And then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. launched one. I mean, I go there to watch the Cardinals. I want the Cardinals to win, obviously. But I was excited to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in person. I would have rather have him hit a solo bomb being down 8-0 rather than hitting one to put him up 7-1 or 7-0 at the time. But that was a thing of beauty. It was a bomb. It was wonderful to see in person, just a display of athleticism like that. And then Jansen hit another home run in the 7th inning. Pitching staff just didn't do it. And we saw the B to C tier guys last night. You saw Wickren come in, 2 innings, 2 earned. You saw Verhagen come in, 2 innings, 2 earned. Junior Fernandez was able to get a scoreless appearance. He goes 2 innings and strikes out a batter. Eat up a couple of outs that, maybe somebody else is only able to get 1 inning. Fernandez is able to get 2. But pitching staff just didn't have it. I think the day off today is huge because you might even be able to see one of the guys from last night pitch, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe Friday. Well, normally you wouldn't be able to see them until, get the extra off day. But the off day for Gallegos, Helsley, Cabrera, this is a huge off day. McFarland back from Sunday. You're going to have the A-tier guys ready to roll tomorrow with Adam Wainwright. But offensively, Kevin Gausman was good. He was changing speeds. He was locating. He had 8 punch-outs in 6 innings, a scoreless baseball, gave up 4 hits, walked 2 batters, got his 4th win of the year. He was just freaking good. 4 groundouts to 3 flyouts. Again, walked 2. That was, again, obviously from a Cardinals perspective, not very fun, but from a baseball perspective, that really was fun to watch. He just shut down this Cardinal offense. Cardinals registered 6 hits, as I said earlier, just 2 extra base hits, 1 from Bader, 1 from Edman. But the part that I want to highlight really quickly, just for a moment, is 5, 6, and 7. Juan Yepez 0 for 4, 3 punch-outs. Nolan Gorman 0 for 4, 3 punch-outs. Corey Dickerson 0 for 4, a punch-out. I think Nolan Gorman was trying to hit a home run in every single at-bat. I thought Juan Yepez in the last at-bat said screw it to his 2-strike approach that he usually does and just said, I'm just going to swing for the fences here. We're down 8-1. Who cares? You don't like seeing guys throw away at-bats. Wasn't a huge fan of it. But the negatives that I talked, that's a negative, right? Those 2 guys combining for 6 strikeouts. Both of them with the hat trick. But the reason I don't think that the overall offensive struggle is something to be concerned about long-term is because, A, it was against Kevin Gausman, one of the top pitchers in the league, if not the game. And B, even in a string of offensive prowess, of offensive success, which I would argue the Cardinals are in right now, you're going to have these games. The Cardinals were able to split with the Blue Jays, and I know that their record is only 23-20, and they're 3rd place in the AL East. But I'm telling you guys, this is a playoff team. This is borderline a deep run in October, a World Series contending team, a split is not the end of the world. And again, some of you might call me crazy for calling a 23-20 team World Series contending, but these guys are going to get hot. Trust me. Vladdy's doing his thing. Bo Bichette's going to get going. He had a double last night. Matt Chapman is lost right now, but he's really good. Teoscar Hernandez is having a down year. These names are going to figure it out. They might not get the numbers at the end of the year, but I bet you they find the wins. This team is too young and this team is too talented to not. So just mark my words on that. Again, a little side note, soapbox, little there. But overall, again, the offense was bad last night. And in a game, in a season that is as long as the baseball season is, you're going to see this. Not the end of the world. It's okay. It was terrible to watch. I was keeping score. That's an out. That's a strikeout. That's an out. That's a strikeout. That's a double. It was awful to watch from a Cardinals standpoint. Don't get me wrong. But we've seen a string of good offensive performances. We saw the sweep against Pittsburgh. We saw the comeback win on Monday. We still are seeing some good things from this Cardinal offense in the last week or so. Not overly concerned. It's a big series this weekend against Milwaukee. You can't be doing this performance at home against Milwaukee for 4 straight games. I'll tell you that right now. But so it's a caveat, right? Like, I'm not worried about this performance unless it bleeds into the weekend. But hopefully the off day does not let that bleed into the weekend, as the Cardinals can kind of reset before a big divisional matchup with the Milwaukee Brewers. First time the Brewers come to Busch Stadium. It's going to be a good game, going to be a good series. Cardinals need to come to play. Plain and simple. On tomorrow's show, I'm going to preview this series. Talk about Adam Wainwright. Talk about Matthew Liberatore. What have the Brewers been doing? How can the Cardinals come away with a series win in a 4-game set, or at least, at minimum, a sweep? So be sure to join me tomorrow. Be sure to listen to Locked On MLB next, where our pal Silly gets you hooked on all the baseball action as he gives you his unique look at the majors, both past and present. Silly is great. Go listen to Locked On MLB. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts, just like this one. Free and available on YouTube, on your podcasting platform. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on the podcasting platforms. Rate it. Give a thumbs up. Something. Share it with your friends. Share the Locked On Cardinals listenership everywhere. I saw somebody at Busch Stadium who recognized me. Didn't catch his name. So if you're listening today, appreciate you reaching out and saying that you recognized me. So go Cardinals, I guess. So that's going to do it for Wednesday's edition of Locked On Cardinals. Until I talk to you guys tomorrow, be sure to stay safe, stay well, and have a fantastic rest of your day.